This is for those people who are still confused about the identity of Babylon in the Bible. Some people still think that Babylon is the Catholic Church. Let's go over some of the basic descriptions and descriptors of Babylon. And we'll see that Babylon couldn't possibly be the Catholic Church because it doesn't fit at all, except in a few ways that it fits with almost any country on earth, or many countries on earth, or entities also. First of all, the description of Babylon, and you need to check this out for yourself if you're interested in disproving it or proving it. Either way, you need to get your concordance out and find all the instances that it talks about Babylon or Chaldea. Now, if you're not willing to look in the Bible, then you're probably just closed-minded about it. You need to do the research, look at it, and don't assume that you already know what the scripture says. Some of the main scriptures are in Jeremiah chapter 50 and chapter 51, in Habakkuk or Habakkuk chapters 1 and 2, and then in Revelation 17, 18, and 19. And there are others in Isaiah and in other books. You need to look them all up, get your concordance out. I'm not going to go over all of them now. I went over most of them in the other videos on the 10 or so video series that I did on Babylon. But I just want to specifically talk about the idea of the U.S. versus the Catholic Church as far as being Babylon. First of all, it says in the Jeremiah 50 and chapter 51 also, it talks about how the people of Babylon will be fat like calves. I mean, it specifically says this. Yahweh knew what he was talking about way back then. It says that Babylon will be the hammer of the whole earth. It says that Babylon will be a nation to which all of the nations of the earth stream to her. Babylon will be a nation with mixed people in her midst. Babylon will be a nation that sits upon many waters. Babylon will also have a strong military and air force. Those scriptures are specifically in Habakkuk or Habakkuk. Babylon will be a nation with arrogant, proud, and haughty people. Now, if you're American, you're probably thinking, well, that's way off, because I'm definitely not arrogant, proud, or haughty. How could he even say that? Or how could he possibly think it's the United States? Well, believe me, if you talk to almost anyone in the world, when they describe Americans, it's one of the outstanding qualities that they notice, that Americans are arrogant, proud, and haughty, and they don't think of themselves that way. And as an American, I'm sure I still have that attitude in me, and I want to get rid of it, and it's something to work on, to be more humble. But it's definitely a characteristic of the country. It's not the only country with that attitude. French people have that attitude. Japanese people also are proud and haughty a little bit. You know, it's just that these words describe the people of Babylon. It's not saying that other nations in the world can't also have a strong military, but these descriptors fit. All of them fit with the U.S., but not all of them fit on any other nation or entity in the world. It says that it will be a nation that is abundant in treasures. It is a land and it is a nation. It many, many times through all the scriptures says the land of Babylon, the land of Babylon, the nation of Babylon. It doesn't say the church of Babylon. It says that Babylon has a loud voice. Definitely everyone in the world hears what the United States is going to say. Now, if you go back over those and listen to all those the way I just described that again, and that comes right out of the scriptures. You just need to go and find those scriptures in Jeremiah 50, 51, and in Revelation 17, 18, and 19. So, with those descriptions, we can see that it's describing the United States. Read the rest of those chapters, and you'll see it can't be the Catholic Church. Now, a lot of people get caught up because it talks about Babylon as she, as a woman. And so they say, well, in the Bible, when it says she, it has to be a church. Who wrote this rule book? Where did this come from? It doesn't say that anywhere that it has to be a she, except for people who want to push this belief, this old belief that the Catholic Church is Babylon. But it doesn't say anywhere. Many times in the Bible, a pronoun is used for one thing in one scripture. There are prophecies where in one prophecy it's used as something good. In another prophecy, it's used as something bad. For animals, symbols of animals. Sometimes an eagle could be positive. Other times it could be something that's going to devour. Or the Lion of Judah. You know, a lion is something positive. It shows strength, talking about the Messiah. Other times a lion could be something that's going to devour and destroy. So one symbol can be used in more than one way in the Bible. There's no handbook on how pronouns, a she or a he, has to be used, and it has to be a church. That's just people who are trying to push the belief that Babylon is the Catholic Church. Okay. Now, it says that if you read in in Revelation 18, it talks about all these different products that Babylon has, and that Babylon makes the merchants of the earth. It says, the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. This is right after it talks about Babylon being destroyed. You know when it says Babylon is fallen. And then it says, the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. Okay, well, just think about it. The United States imports more than any other country in the world. It is a consumer country. The rest of the world has become, the businessmen of the rest of the world have become rich from everything they export to the U.S. The U.S. imports so much. When the U.S. is destroyed, those businessmen and women are going to weep and mourn because no one buys their merchandise anymore. When the Catholic Church is destroyed, who's going to weep and mourn over it except for Catholics? Okay, then the icing on the cake in Revelation 18:4, it says, come out of her, my people, so that you don't share in her sins. Okay, well, I have to ask you, you probably consider yourself to be a true believer, a son or a daughter of Yahweh. Okay, then you must be considered part of that my people, right? Yahweh is talking to his people. Revelation was written, it's an end-time book. This is talking about Babylon in the end times. It's not talking about ancient Iraq, because ancient Iraq, if you look in your history book, was never completely and utterly destroyed. It was taken over by Cyrus the Mede. Babylon now is going to be completely destroyed. And so when Yahweh says, come out of her, my people, if you think it's the Catholic Church, then I have to say, are you must be Yahweh's people, are you in the Catholic Church? Because evidently in the end time, Yahweh's people are going to be in Babylon. Some of them are going to be in Babylon. So if you think it's the Catholic Church, then I have to say, are you in the Catholic Church? Do you need to come out of the Catholic Church? Does the Catholic Church have any kind of hold over you? And that's if you're living in the United States. I live in South America, where there is a much higher percentage of Catholicism, and everything is Catholic here. And they don't control me. They don't make me work on the Sabbath. I don't work on the Sabbath. I don't have to keep Sunday as a holy day, or their pagan days of Christmas and Easter. I don't keep any of their pagan Catholic stuff. And they don't have any control over me either. I don't have to come out of the Catholic Church. And I do think that I am one of Yahweh's people. But if you live in the United States, you are in Babylon, and you do need to come out of her, my people. That's what Yahweh is saying.